Let's break down this exciting game. Opening analysis. Italian game. Giuoco piano. Opening name. This game begins with 1. e4, e5-2. nf3, nc6-3. bc4, bc5. This is the Italian game, and specifically, the Giuoco piano. Italian for quiet game. Strategy and tactics in the Giuoco piano. White's strategy. Rapid development. White aims for quick and harmonious development of pieces, particularly the knight to f3 and the bishop to c4. Control of the center. The e4 pawn asserts central control, and white often supports it with d3. Targeting f7. The bishop on c4, in conjunction with the knight on f3, puts pressure on black's weak f7 square, which is the king's weakest point. Kingside castling. White usually castles kingside early for king safety, and to bring the rook into play. Pawn structure. The typical pawn structure involves pawns on e4 and d3, aiming for a solid central presence. Black's strategy. Symmetrical development. Black often mirrors white's development with nc6 and bc5, also aiming for quick piece development and central control. Defending f7. Black must be vigilant about the f7 square, and often defends it with nf6 or by castling. Counterplay. Black seeks to challenge white's central control, often through moves like d6 or d5 at an appropriate time. Move-by-move commentary. 1. e4. White initiates the game with the king's pawn opening. 1. e4. This immediately opens lines for white's queen and light-squared bishop, staking a claim in the center and preparing for rapid development. A very popular and aggressive start. 1. e5. Black responds in kind with 1. e5, mirroring white's central pawn push. This leads to an open game, establishing symmetry and fighting for the crucial d4 and f4 squares. Both sides are keen on central control from the outset. 2. nf3. White develops the king's knight to 2. nf3, attacking black's e5 pawn. This is a natural developing move, controlling important central squares and preparing for kingside castling. 2. nc6. Black defends the e5 pawn with 2. nc6, developing the queen's knight. This is a common and solid response, bringing another piece into play and contributing to central control. 3. bc4. White brings out the light-squared bishop to 3. bc4, targeting black's vulnerable f7 pawn. This is the characteristic move of the Italian game, aiming for direct pressure on black's kingside. 3. bc5. Black mirrors white's development with 3. bc5, placing the bishop on an active diagonal. This also attacks white's f2 pawn and controls the d4 square, leading to the Giuoco piano variation. 4. 0-0. White quickly castles kingside with 4. 0-0. This is a crucial step, bringing the king to safety and connecting the rooks. It shows white's commitment to rapid development and king security. 4d6. Black plays 4d6, solidifying the e5 pawn and opening a diagonal for the dark-squared bishop. This is a common move in the Giuoco piano, preparing for further development and central control. 5. h3. White makes a somewhat unusual move with 5. h3. This is a prophylactic move, preventing black's bishop or knight from jumping to g4 and pinning white's knight on f3. While not directly developing a piece, it addresses a potential tactical threat. 5. n7. Black develops the knight to 5. n7. This is a less common developing square for the knight in this position, as nf6 is generally preferred for its central control and direct defense of d5. However, n7 prepares to castle and can support the f5 pawn push. 6. d3. White reinforces the center with 6. d3. This supports the e4 pawn and opens a diagonal for white's light-squared bishop. It's a solid positional move that contributes to white's central pawn structure. 6. 0-0. Black castles kingside with 6. 0-0. This brings the king to safety and connects the rooks, completing black's basic kingside development. 7. nc3. White brings out the other knight to 7. nc3, developing a piece and controlling the d5 and e4 squares. White now has a very well developed and centralized position. 7. h6. Black plays 7h6, mirroring white's earlier h3 move. This prevents white's bishop or knight from jumping to g5 and pinning black's knight on f6. 8. ne2. White maneuvers the knight to 8. ne2. This move is a bit passive, moving the knight away from the center. White might be planning to transfer the knight to g3 or f4 for a kingside attack, but it loses a tempo. 8. re8. Black plays 8. re8, bringing the rook to the open e-file. This rook supports the e5 pawn and can participate in future central operations. 9. ng3. White brings the knight to 9. ng3, aiming for the kingside. This knight can potentially jump to f5 or h5, targeting black's kingside. White is clearly thinking about an attack. 9. nd4. Black makes a strong central move with 9. nd4. This knight jumps into white's territory, attacking white's bishop on c4 and putting pressure on the f3 knight. This is an active and well-placed knight. 10. nh4. White repositions the knight to 10. nh4. This is an aggressive move, aiming directly at black's f5 and g6 squares, trying to generate kingside threats. White is sacrificing some central control for a kingside assault. 10. nec6. Black develops the knight to 10. nec6, bringing another piece into play and supporting the d4 square. This is a good developing move, but black might be missing white's aggressive plans. 11. bxh6. White launches a brilliant sacrifice. 11. bxh6. White sacrifices the bishop to expose black's king and open up the g-file. This is a very sharp tactical move, leading to a forced checkmate if black accepts the sacrifice. 11. qxh4. Black captures the bishop with 11. qxh4, accepting the sacrifice. This brings black's queen to a dangerous square, but it exposes the king even further. Black's king is now very vulnerable. 12. nf5. White plays 12. nf5. A powerful knight jump, attacking black's queen on h4, and creating a double attack on black's g7 pawn. White's attack is relentless, and focused on the exposed king. 12. qd8. Black retreats the queen to 12. qd8. This defends the f7 square and moves the queen away from the attack. However, it pulls the queen away from the defense of the kingside. 13. qg4. White brings the queen into the attack with 13. qg4. The queen is now perfectly positioned to deliver the final blow, eyeing the g7 square. White's attack is overwhelming. 13. bxf5. Black captures the knight on f5 with 13. bxf5. This removes a crucial attacking piece for white, but it's too late. The position around black's king is too weak. 14. q xg7 hash. And that's it. Checkmate. 14. q xg7 hash delivers the final blow. White's queen, supported by the rook on f1 and the pawn on g3 from its original move, delivers a beautiful checkmate on g7. A truly devastating and swift victory for white. Summary of the opening phase. This game started as a standard Italian game, Giuoco Piano, where both sides aimed for rapid, symmetrical development. However, white, after a slight tempo loss with 5, h3, found an opportunity to switch to a very aggressive kingside attack. Black's knight maneuver to e7 and then c6 while developing proved to be too slow to anticipate and defend against white's focused onslaught. White's decision to bring the knights to g3 and h4, followed by the brilliant 11. bxh6, sacrifice, was the turning point. This opening transformed from a quiet positional game into a wild tactical slugfest, ultimately showcasing white's decisive attacking play.